Okay.
Okay. So today we're here to talk about alternative energy sources, mainly solar energy. And when you think about alternative energy sources, you wonder why we have to talk about them. It's mainly because of global warming. And global warming is the gradual increase in overall temperature of the Earth's atmosphere, which is generally attributed to by the greenhouse effect, which is caused by an increase of level of carbon dioxide and other pollutants in the air. So when you're talking about global warming, what causes it? And the leading cause of global warming is actually fossil fuels and the burning of fossil fuels. And the burning of fossil fuels actually releases large amounts of carbon dioxide that cause the global warming. And the fossil fuels are actually natural fuels made from non-renewable energy sources such as coal or gas. And these fossil fuels are formed in geological past from the remains of living organisms. When you look at fossil fuels, you also look at the energy consumption. And right now, fossil fuels are the main source of energy consumption. And by finding another energy source, we can reduce our carbon emissions. And in order to find another way to reduce them, we have to look at our alternative energy sources. And there are many options when it comes to renewable energy sources. And some of them are wind energy, we have geothermal, compressed air, water, and solar energy. So with all these options, what do you choose? Today I want to discuss with you solar energy. Like, did you know that in 1 second, our sun produces enough energy to meet the current needs of the Earth for 500,000 years? Solar energy alone has grown in the past 15 years by 20% per year. Solar energy systems do not produce air pollutants, and when the systems are placed on buildings, there's very little impact on the environment. So how does it all work? The sun's rays can actually be changed into forms of energy like heat and electricity. But how can we convert the sun's rays to energy? When you're sitting outside on a sunny day, the sun is shining down on you and the warmth you feel is the sun's energy. There are certain materials that can turn that warmth into electrical currents that we can harness for power. Let's take a look at a house and the solar-powered home. The solar panels are placed on the home to catch the sun's energy and convert it into electricity. Then there's a control device that converts it into the sun's energy. There's a control device that is connected to these panels and that changes this electricity so that it can power the items that are connected to the converter. There are actually two types of solar systems, and they're the solar thermal system, and this can actually be thought of like your basic hot water system powered by the sun. Mirrors reflect and concentrate sunlight, and the receivers collect the solar energy, and it's converted into heat energy. Once converted, a generator can be used to produce electricity or heat from this energy. And there are actually three main types of solar thermal energy. There are the parabolic troughs, which is actually the most common of the solar thermal systems. And this parabolic trough collector is actually shaped like a half pipe you'd use in skateboarding or snowboarding. And these half pipes are covered with more than 900,000 mirrors that are north-south aligned and able to pivot to follow the sun from east to west. And the parabolic troughs can actually achieve temperatures of over 750 degrees Fahrenheit because of its shape, and the sun's intensity can be focused from 30 to 100 times its normal rate. And the next type of a solar thermal system is actually a solar dish. And compared to the other solar thermal systems, the solar dish is actually a smaller producer. And there are two main parts to this system: the dish itself and a generator. And the dish is pointed at the sun and collects the solar energy, and then a series of tubes aligned with the cooling fluid sits between the two, the dish and its generator, and they absorb the concentrated energy from the dish, convert it into heat, and send the heat to the generator, where it becomes electricity. The third type is, of course, your solar power tower. Now, the solar power tower uses concentrated solar energy that is focused on a tower-mounted heat exchanger or receiver that is used to generate electricity. Hundreds or even thousands of heliostats, or flat sun-tracked mirrors, are used to reflect and concentrate the sun's energy onto a central receiver tower. Unlike parabolic troughs, though, the solar power towers lose less energy from thermal energy transport, since this transfer is done directly from the heliostats to a single receiver, instead of through the transfer medium. Since power towers need to be large to be economical, they're only ideal for large-scale grid-connected power plants. The next type of our solar energy systems is actually solar cells, or better known as photovoltaic devices. And these were actually first developed by Bell Telephone in 1954. And then by the late 1950s, the solar cells were used to power United States space satellites. And then shortly after that, they were actually changed to smaller electronics like watches and calculators. And most recently, solar cells have been used for a very wide range of things, from powering cars and buildings to providing power to remote cabins, and even providing power to satellites that orbit the Earth. Now, how do we convert the sunlight into solar energy? When the light strikes the cell, some of it is absorbed within the semiconductor material, and then this energy shakes the electrons loose, allowing them to flow freely. And then there are electric fields in the cells that cause these free electrons to flow in a certain direction, which causes a current. And then by placing metal conductors on top and bottom of the cells, we can actually draw the current off for external use. And of course, just like everything else, there's always a catch. There's got to be some type of drawback. So when you look at solar energy, you have to look at, while there's no greenhouse gases or air or water pollutants, there are some indirect negative impacts. During the manufacturing of solar cells, there's actually some toxic material and chemicals that are used. And also in some solar thermal systems, the fluid used to transfer the heat can be hazardous. And there are also impacts on plant and animal life when land is cleared for construction of large solar power plants in certain locations. The good news is that manufacturers actually have a strong financial incentive to ensure that these materials are actually recycled. So that does help out. Another little drawback is the fact that you are dealing with the sun, and there are times when it can be scarce. If you don't have the right location or the right weather or time of day, you might not get the greatest sun exposure on your solar cells. So now let's look at the next big thing for people, which is the cost, which can be a big thing. When you're looking into converting to solar power, the main concern is the cost. And the monthly cost of solar power is very low, and it can save you lots of money. But the initial investment to install the solar power system can be quite large. Most households who need approximately a 5 kilowatt system, the initial cost of that could be up to $40,000. Now, as you can see, there are some places where it can be a little bit less than $10,000, but you never know until you check into it. The good thing is there could be incentives. And although you have to pay a hefty sum up front, you'd be able to recoup your initial investment through your monthly utility savings. Take, for instance, a 3-bedroom home with a current electrical bill of about $200 could be able to offset their utility bill to as low as $60 a month. Another thing to look into in helping with this initial investment is solar panel financing. And the financing can help with the upfront cost of the purchase of the eligible solar water heaters and the solar panels. And then there are also 14 states in this United States that have the possibility of solar lease financing. This option allows for little or no upfront costs and a fixed monthly lease payment. And another benefit is the lease company that you get this equipment from is actually responsible to maintain the equipment. The last thing that can actually help you out with the cost is that some people may be eligible for the federal green tax credit. The tax credits are available for both new and existing residences, as well as first and second residences. The only place people that don't get the tax credit is actually rental properties. And then you combine the monthly savings with the tax incentives, and your solar power system can pay for itself in about 5 to 10 years. So now, why would you want to go with solar?